Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Championship Rounds podcast. There's a decent week of boxing this week. A couple of intriguing fights, a couple of not so intriguing fights. But yeah, we'll start in Brooklyn on Saturday night. Gervonta Davis defends his WBA lightweight title against Lamont Roach. And it's just sums up lightweight at the minute. Not one person really wanted to see this fight. And yeah, it won't really be competitive. And yeah, it's just like it's not brilliant to be honest.
Well, I mean, it will be competitive in the fact that Lamont Roach will win rounds, but that's because Gervonta Davis will not be doing anything for 4 rounds, because that's how he fights.
I'm so tired of him. I'm tired of this division. I'm tired of Gervonta's career as a whole. Truly, it gets to a point, and it doesn't look like that point is gonna stop anytime soon. This might just be what he does.
Well, I mean, I think this one is better than Hector Luis Garcia. I feel like Lamont Roach isn't as undersized. Like, he's bigger than Garcia. I think he'd probably be fine at lightweight, whereas Hector Garcia is very small. But then again, there shouldn't even be a discussion about what super featherweight is fine at lightweight.
Like, these are the conversations we have to have. Like, who looks better at the new weight? Because Gervonta won't just fight another lightweight. Like, he's one of the faces of the sport, and he has no elite win in a 10-year career.
Like, would you rather just a not great opponent at lightweight, or would you rather a champion at 130? Well, I mean, neither, but I guess if you had a choice, probably the champion at 130, but then again,
Have to be a discussion, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's
well,
the
I
worst
think,
champion.
Which shit opponent would we like better? Is what
I
we're
mean,
doing.
he chose the worst champion last time anyway, so look, if
He
you
is the
can,
worst champion this
if
time.
if you can pick the easiest champion for a same amount of money, really, it makes sense. It's not good. I don't like it, but you know, it's a business.
Look, man, Shakur's not fighting anyone and he's being boring. Gervonta Davis not fighting anyone being boring. Lomachenko's messing about, messing the fans around. Hopefully, Keyshawn Davis fights people. But like, it just gets to a point with this division where it's also tiring. Like, there's so many divas. Nobody really wants to fight, and like, it's just so frustrating. Like, it's another Gervonta Davis opponent, like that nobody really asked for. Like, there's, it's just you can reconstruct his resume however you want to make it look good, but the fact of the matter is, he's had maybe two or three opponents his entire career where people have actually been demanding that fight. Nobody really was talking about an Isaac Cruz fight before Cruz got the fight. People only really talk about that fight because Cruz went the distance. Nobody really wanted the Rody fight. Rody's terrible. Nobody really wanted the Frank Martin fight. Nobody really wanted a Lewis Garcia fight. Nobody wanted a Lamont Roach fight. Like, nobody wanted the Barrios fight. Nobody saw the point in a Leo Santa Cruz fight moving down. Like, what? Shakur, nobody wanted a Yoshino fight. Nobody wanted a De Los Santos fight. Nobody wanted a Haratunian fight. Absolutely nobody knows who Josh Bradley is. So how could anybody want that fight? Like, Lomachenko, people just want you to fight or give up the belt and stop moaning about back injuries that you may or may not have. And it's just this division's horrible. Like, there's elite fighters here, but it's horrible. And this is just
Well,
another horrible fight at 135 pounds, and it's honestly, it's just frustrating.
It's
Like
exhausting.
it's just so annoying, man. It's draining.
With I guess with Gervonta Davis, like the Frank Warren fight was fine, and with Shakur, the De Los Santos fight was fine. I mean, they're both top 10 ranked lightweights, but you just have to fight the better guys. You just have to fight them
It's
all.
an issue when the top. Dan, it's an issue for me when like the marquee guy is a top 10 guy. Your marquee win in years is a top 10 guy. That's the issue for me.
Oh yeah, the issue is his most highly ranked win is Pedraza, who was rated top 5 at the time.
This is 8 years ago. 8. Look how that's aged. We can even ignore the fact that it's aged bad.
I mean,
Was
it's
8. It
fine.
was 8 years ago. It could have aged the best. It was almost 10 years ago, and that's his arguable best win.
Did you see the interview he did where he was claiming that he was being set up by taking that fight?
That's so embarrassing.
Like, if that's the attitude, like, people can throw at people. Oh, yeah, he makes all this money and he sells. Yeah, fair enough. Well done to him. Genuinely, well done. You make a lot of money. But none of these people that are flexing it ever see any of it. I don't understand that. Why are you flexing somebody else's money as an excuse for them to not fight when they're your favorite fighter and you want to see them fight? But no, they make loads of money, so they don't have to. So you're happy with that. You're happy with them posting stacks of money on Instagram and whatever and like watches and that. You're happy with that instead of them actually watching them fight. And then you're happy with them, not actually fighting a top tier opposition because they're all clout chasers for calling the fight. So what are we doing here? I don't care if he sells. I want to see him fight. I genuinely think he's an elite talent, but he just doesn't fight them. Can you imagine if he went and fought Haney after Haney beat Lomachenko?
He'll be such a more liked fighter if he would
He would have knocked Haney's head off, become undisputed, and nobody would have said anything about any of this. Would they? Nobody would say you don't fight anyone. Nobody would say you shot them all up. And that's a massive fight. It's Haney against Davis, both undefeated. One's just become undisputed champion and defended it against Lomachenko, albeit like a controversial decision. Can you imagine how big that fight would have been?
Very big.
But no, like spend the year out the ring because you get arrested and go and fight Frank Martin. Like what? It's just boring. It's boring, man. Like I've genuinely been interested in like one Gervonta Davis fight in the last few years, and even looking back at that, like Ryan Garcia was absolutely dead at the weight. It's just been boring, man.
He's a pitiful fighter. He's so skillful, and he just will never show against an elite fighter. And I'm convinced he's never gonna do it.
That's what's so annoying with Tank. Like, I genuinely believe he is one of the best fighters in the sport, but just fight them. You're like, you're not getting. You're not gonna have some elite career fighting C-level opposition like this. And it's not particularly the issue with the one fight. Like, it's the inactivity combined with all of his opponents are C level. A Lamont Roach defense after, say, I don't know, say you beat Lomachenko and you're undisputed champion and you've beaten Haney and you have a quick defense against Lamont Roach. Nobody minds it. But when it's your first fight in what 9-10 months, and you've got a history of fighting like once a year for the past
And
couple of years.
he's gonna do it again. He won't be. We're lucky if we'll see him at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, we might see him in December, and who will that be against in December? An Isaac Cruz rematch, Jose Valenzuela? It's just it's just not good, man. Like, I just don't see the point. I just don't get it, man. And he'd sell more if he actually fought the elite guys. This is my issue with it. Like, Shakur Stevenson's pulling in 1 million views on ESPN. Yeah? You're telling me that's a smaller fight than a super featherweight who's fights on Pro Box?
So was Lomachenko as well. He was doing 1 million, like loads.
That's the argument these people. Oh, he's selling. He doesn't need to do anything. But yes, but you can sell. Lomachenko turned down that fight anyway. Like, at this point, like Lomachenko's just been stupid since he beat Cambosos. Like, either retire or don't.
I think
This whole division, Shakur's pathetic. He signed his career away by going this route, fighting at 4 p.m. against electricians on undercards. Yeah, at like 3 p.m. in his main market, on an app that nobody has, on pay-per-views that nobody's gonna buy, in countries where nobody's gonna watch him fight. Like, it's just boring, man. This whole division's boring. I can't see another good fight happening in it for years. I hope Keyshawn Davis is the one to actually come through and actually fight these guys. I hope he is, because he's the only hope now.
Well,
Jesus Christ, that is so annoying. Lomachenko, Shakur, and David, and Keyshawn, not Keyshawn, Gervonta Davis can all get in the bin, man. It's just boring.
Well, Keyshawn's not fighting Shakur.
He's not fighting Shakur. He probably won't be at 35 for much longer. He's huge. So,
like, Lomachenko's gonna retire, I think. And maybe even if he wants to fight Gervonta Davis, is Gervonta Davis gonna fight him?
nope.
Probably not. No. Look, the problem with Tank is I think he has been badly advised by certain people his whole career, and
He's used to it.
That's just what he's stuck to. He's been badly advised by certain people. Not going to name any. Well, I will actually. Leonard Ellaby, Floyd Mayweather, and Al Heyman. And that's just what he's built his career off. Like, it's picking like a certain race of fighters because they all support their own fighters, or like Hispanic people, specifically Mexicans. Pick them, hope like a race thing, and do some good pay-per-views. Rinse and repeat. And if you do step up, put some stuff, rehydration clauses or a catch weight.
It's like all of his meaningful fights. There's some stipulation attached to him, and then everything else is just an opponent we know is just not going to touch him, really. So, and I think he's going to end his career like that. I don't think he's going to have a. He's gonna be one of the most overrated fighters once he's retired. He's gonna be like, oh man, look at all these great knockouts. He has no good wins. And he'll like a 15-year career by the end of it.
And like Brian Garcia, good opponent, but if you fight him at 136 catch weight and a rehydration clause, like, that's just not good. You're not going to get the best Ryan Garcia. I mean, Devin Haney fought better Ryan Garcia. And the problem is, he would have still done the exact same thing against Ryan Garcia if he fought him at 140.
He might have just stopped him a couple rounds later.
He might have stopped him earlier because Ryan Garcia would have been able to be more offensive.
It's just so exhausting. I held on to like a little sliver of hope that he'll finally give us something worth a damn. I'm fully off anything like that has anything to do with Gervonta Davis. I'm done.
See, well, I just can't think that he doesn't want to fight these guys. That these fighters are fighters, and a lot of the times it's just people behind the scenes that are just advising them not to take these fights. Managers, promoters, friends.
Well, he needs to get a handle of his own career and do something.
Or he won't.
I don't think he will. I think this is going to be the rest of it. He's going to fight like 3-4 more years of this, like maybe 6-7 more times of just fighters we just don't care for him to fight. And that's just going to be what it is.
Like your Floyd Mayweather's protege. I mean, he's one of the greatest fighters of all time who fought loads of great fighters, numerous world champions, numerous Hall of Famers. What are you doing?
He just cares about the money. No legacy.
Yeah, but Floyd cared about the money. He still fought great fighters. Like, sure, he didn't probably fight.
I guess he believed in himself a bit.
Like, he didn't fight everyone, but I mean, he fought nearly everyone.
And a how many, like 12-year career, he hasn't. Sure, Pedraza, Santa Cruz, what did he do? One of those fights was 5 years ago. The other one was 8 years ago. It's done.
And like you can make more money fighting these guys.
Well, I mean, in his defense, I mean, he's not the only one not fighting fighters.
But his is just a prolonged thing. Like with Shakur, he just got to 35. So it'll probably end up being with how like Gervonta has been slandered, because then it will just be the same slander to one another for not fighting each other. But
I mean, it's not
Shakur's
like
had 2 fights.
it's not like Shakur's fought any great fighters himself.
But at least he like did things at the lower weights where Gervonta's never unified. He's lost belts on the scale. Like he's just not.
So is Shakur.
No. But I'm saying Gervonta's thing is like a extended amount of time, which is basically his whole championship career is just an exhausting mess with nothing great to show for it. Literally nothing.
Well, he has a lot of money.
That's the only like praise.
But yeah, it's really frustrating because like he'd sell more and make more money with the big fights. That's the annoying thing. And then he'd sell more with the small fights after the big fights, if that makes sense.
You can have the filler bullshit, but like fight good fighters, not okay fighters at lower weights. Not you can have the occasional okay fighter in your own weight, but then also fight another champion or a top contender. Not even really got that good champions at lower weight classes. Like, let's be serious.
Well, see, the problem is, fighters these days, they don't fight like loads. They fight like twice a year. And that means the fighters that you face, people will expect them to be good fighters, especially if you're rated so highly. Like, people rate him in the top 5 pound for pound. Some people even think he's number 1. Like, call him the best fighter in the world. And that puts standards on you. You're not living up to those standards.
So he really probably should, with his skill, be a top 5 pound for pound fighter. He's truly not top 10 because he has no great ones. 0.
Well, I mean, the problem with pound for pound is there's so many people that could be And at the bottom, it's just like,
In the bottom three,
does
yeah, they're
anyone
like
really deserve? Do these guys really
There's no-
deserve? No, but someone's got to be there.
the only one at the bottom who I think deserves it is Kenshiro. But
Well, he's carried. He's being carried by his skill level, and the fact that he knocks people out. That does help.
yeah, but he's also fighting good fighters. And
No, I'm talking.
fighters that
I mean, Gervonta, not Kenshiro. He's carried by his skill level, and the fact that he knocks people out, which masks other stuff. People like
definitely,
knockouts. They're like, oh,
definitely
yeah, he's knocked this guy out. It's definitely good.
it definitely should not mask that because
Well, it
who he's
does.
knocking out, who he should knock out. So that really
See, the
should.
problem
It
is,
does. It does mask it, but it shouldn't. Is what I'm saying.
see, the problem is with him being so popular, a lot of his fans, they're not going to be like boxing fans in the know. They're not going to know like a Lamont Roach or a Hector Garcia or a Brody Romero at the time. They'll know a Ryan Garcia because he's one of the most popular names in the sport. So they don't know that these aren't top wins, top wins.
Yeah, they just see him getting. They just see him chinning somebody, and they're like, "Oh man, that's crazy." But the opponent, they don't know that the opponent he's fighting, he should not be fighting, and he'd be actually ridiculed if he didn't knock some of these people out. So
Well, I mean, he can fight the opponents, just fight the top guys as well. I don't care that he fights a Rolly or a Isak Cruz or bloody Ryan Mine. What? Ryan Mine? Frank Mine. That's the wrong file. I don't care. I'm not going to include Frank Mine in that because that's fine. Or yeah,
like,
those guys
have like
just
a Frank Martin level fighter in between a big fight. That's fine.
like. I mean, the Frank Mine was like a push in the right direction because he was ranked pretty high, and I mean, I know he was kind of unproven at like the top level. I mean, his best win was another prospect, Michelle Rivera. But I mean, at least he absolutely dominated that fight, and like at least showed.
And then
He could.
But then he also controversially beat hard too. So.
Well, you know,
He went 10
it's
with Jackson Marinos. So it's like
well, he's not a puncher. That's fine.
just frustrating.
we should be talking
Everything's
about
frustrating.
Gervonta with great fights and other great fighters, and we don't. And he's been pro for 12 years. And he probably won't be professional for too long if this is just who he is. He just cares about money. And he was not going to stay in until he's 38, 39 years. He's going to just leave when he's like 34. He's already like 30. So
Look, he'll get to like 32 or 33, and then finally fight these fights.
I'll believe it when I see it. Because right now I have nothing that convinces me he'll ever fight a great fighter.
Look, I mean, they all do. Like, say someone like just doesn't fight the great fighters when they're younger. Or the top fighters, they get to a certain age and they think, oh yeah, bloody hell, I've got to do it now.
Again, I'll have to see it when I see it. Congrats to Roach for this huge purse. I don't like whoop-de-doo. You're going to go 8 rounds and get chinned.
Yeah, it's probably going to go pretty similarly to the Frank Martin fight or the Hector Garcia fight. Lose the first 4 rounds because he doesn't do much. Like, it's not even like he's losing. That's just what he does.
I don't even think when it's him. I don't think about like you have to give the round to the person who wins the round, but he's not losing the round. He's just not He's not started up.
Yeah, that's just what he does. He like takes the first few rounds off. There's a few occasions
15
where he's
punches around. Like,
yeah. That's why his punch output is so low is because he doesn't do anything for the first few rounds. And then he actually has a good punch output when he actually sticks up, but then it doesn't get too high because he's stopping people.
He goes from like 20 to 40 or something. Like, it's just whatever, man.
And like, I mean, he doesn't need to throw lows because like every punch he throws counts because he's so accurate and they do so much damage.
I'm not comparing him to Wilder, but it's like he's not going to do much until he hits you, and when he hits you, it's going to hurt. You're going to be on the floor, and you're most likely not going to continue. He's not the most exciting pro like through a whole fighter. The only like fight that was like exciting all the way through is like Santa Cruz.
Because like with a Gervonta Davis fight, his fights like might not be exciting in action, but you're just there and intrigued. You want to watch because something's gonna happen. Like you have that excited feel, even if you're not enjoying the action, because he's gonna knock them out. Like at some point, you know, there's gonna be a knockout.
Which I think would be even more fun if he did that with a good fighter across from him. It's not going to happen.
No, it will go like every other Tank fight, and it will be. It's what it is. And then, yeah, Lamont Roach really isn't very good. He's really not very good, man.
Like, I mean, you underrate him because you hate him so much, but he shouldn't be fighting Gervonta Davis.
That's just I don't blame like Roach.
I don't even.
He's not even a great champion in his own division. Like, that's the another bad thing on Gervonta. He's not even fighting a great fighter, regardless of where he's pulling him up or down from. Like, it's just horrible. I'm just sick of it.
Anyway, I just lost interest in Gervonta Davis ages ago because, like, he's a great fighter that's just not gonna fight. He's not gonna fight the fights, isn't he?
Nope.
And we've known that, and like, I'm just tuned out.
I packed it. I packed it in with him.
It's like it just wake me up when you fight someone like that's actually like a top fighter at 135 pounds with no clauses and like nothing, because you know he could very well go and knock out Shakur Stevenson, and you know, like, no, that's what you need to do. Make a huge fight against Shakur, go knock him out, and then nobody complains. Make a huge fight against Haney, knock him out, and nobody complains. Like, yeah, it's just stupid. When you're having to sort of run propaganda for regular titles constantly, that's when you know that you're not actually fighting the guys.
It's like his fans force him to be more than he is. Like, he could be way more than what he is. He could be considered a great fighter,
Yeah.
and that's what's frustrating. That he would probably be already like, I don't want to say like on like projected to be like a Hall of Famer, but he has the skill of to be like a great future, like what people like 10 years from now call a great fighter. He's not great because he doesn't. He just won't do anything, and I think he's fine with that. Yeah.
He's an elite talent. He's an elite talent. He's elite ability, but like, yeah, it's just is what it is. I maintain that he is one of the best fighters in the sport, but like you know when like you think something and then they keep going out of their way to like he could make pretty much any fight he wants around these weight classes, the amount of money he draws, and like he just doesn't. And like I'm pretty sure he's one of the best fighters in the sport. I'm pretty sure he's an elite talent, but like, is he? Is that the reason why he's not making these fights? I don't know, but yeah, it's really not a good fight against Lamont Roach. Gervonta Davis will stop him. Like, there's a reason he's a. I don't know how big a favorite he is right now, but like I've seen like odds of like 20-1 favoritism for Gervonta Davis this week, and like honestly,
That's too low.
there's value in that because Lamont Roach has zero chance.
Well,
Yeah, Gervonta Davis
look,
is a 20-1 favorite.
I mean, I don't like the main event. I like the card.
We should move on to that.
Yeah, I like the card, even if it shouldn't be pay per view. And I can moan about it being pay per view now because now they're pay per view for us on Amazon.
Yeah, let's go to the undercard.
Who's the co-main event? Is it probably Puello
Probably.
versus Russell?
You mean Valenzuela versus Russell?
Same thing.
Valenzuela
they've already
against Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, can't be Puello. Russell, they already fought, and I watched that earlier.
Valenzuela against Russell.
Well, you hate fighters who coming off loss get into title shot, another title shot at least. So that's not good. But I mean, it's fine. The problem is Valenzuela's never fought a 140 pounder, and Russell is overrated and coming off a loss.
And inactive.
And inactive, yeah. He's barely had any fights in like the past 5 years. Like fought like once a year most of the time.
So 2020 fought once, 2021 fought once, 2022 fought twice, 2023 fought once, 2024 fought once, 2025. This is his first fight. He's 28 years old. Like what's he been doing?
Using his brother's plan.
Losing
His last
fights,
win,
getting horrendously bad stoppages.
his last win was before Usyk Dubois.
Brilliant.
Like, what we doing? That was the Kent Cruz fight. Francis Bartholomew. It's just like what? Bartholomew, however you want to say it. It's just I don't care. I just don't care about it. Like what? What's he doing with his career?
It's funny because for some of these fights on paper they look good, and we know in the ring they won't be good. This is like the kind of reverse. They shouldn't Russell should not be getting a title shot, but the fight could be good.
I don't think it'll be good.
It could be.
I don't think it'll be good because Valenzuela's gonna box him.
And Russell could just not pull the trigger, really. But
no, he will pull the trigger. It just depends. Like he's a one-dimensional puncher who is good for the first half, really.
And that's why he gets stopped late on.
I don't think he'll get stopped. I think he's going to lose a pretty wide decision. Because, I mean, he had, okay success against Puello. He won most of the first 4 rounds, or I think he lost the first round. But then he just got found out.
Puello's a pretty big dude. But
Russell's a pretty big guy.
I know, but even
And,
bigger.
like, he just becomes predictable. Like, he's just one-dimensional.
He is just predictable. That is just he's even worse. Sean Porter, really, in the ring. He's just plodding forward, just chucking punches until he
like,
gets tired, and then the chucking punches turn into, please hit him, please.
the only reason I'm not, like, 100% certain on picking Valenzuela is because he's never fought a 140 pounder.
It's not like Russell can't punch.
And Russell can punch.
So,
And at least, like, he will try and let his hands go. It's not like he's going to go for a fight doing nothing. Even if he's getting outclassed, he's going to try and he's going to land. But I just don't think he's that good. Like, Valenzuela isn't great himself, but I think he's good enough.
and he's active at least.
Yeah, and he's probably pretty confident. You know what they used to say? A fight gets 25% better once they become a world champion. I mean, not really true, but Gil Clancy, I'll let you off.
I do think Valenzuela is like, he's not great, but he is kind of he's like a little underrated. Like he's good. He's just not. He doesn't represent that belt like other champions have held that belt.
Yeah, and getting like iced by De Los Santos. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. De Los Santos is one of the hardest punchers at lightweight. And
So
maybe
he's
maybe Valenzuela is better at 140. Hard to say when he's never fought 140, but we'll find out.
yeah. I'd probably pick a Valenzuela decision. I think he just he developed pretty good. Like his boxing skills have like improved in like such a short amount of time. Um, he's definitely gonna be the boxer in the fight.
But will they give it to Russell? Because look at one of the scorecards for the Puerto fight. They had it 10-2 to Russell.
Yeah, that was disgusting. That was one of the worst cards of the year.
And I mean, it was closer than it looked because of the point taken away from Puerto, but it was a pretty clear win for Puerto.
Yeah. Could be good. Most likely won't be good. It'll probably look good for Ryo, but
if you're Valenzuela, you don't want the fight to be good.
yeah, no. They'll probably try to make it not good.
Like we've seen, he can box, so do that against Gary Antoine Russell. Not Gary Russell. Gary Russell is the only good Russell brother. Yeah, you listen to Gary Russell in his corner, and he gives him good instructions. I mean, I just can't do it.
But they're all the Russells are pretty athletic people. They're just not like
Gary Russell Jr. is a good fighter, and Antonio, not great. Antoine is better than Antonio, but that's not hard, is it?
Next, on this card, Alberto Puello against Sandor Martin. If you've got insomnia, any type of problems, falling asleep, staying asleep, watch this fight. Because they're going to stand and stare at each other for 12 rounds, and then Alberto Puello is going to get the decision, and that's what's going to happen here. Nothing's going to happen. They're just going to stand and stare at each other.
Well, I mean, whoever wins this fight is going to be the fighter that fights on the back foot. And I feel like Puero's more likely to be the guy that fights is going to come forward in this fight. That probably favors Martin, but I mean, it's just his style. His style like doesn't get credit from judges.
I swear he's not active either. At least recently.
I think he fought.
He
He's
hasn't
fought
fought
once.
since
I think
December 2023.
he's fought once since losing. Well, losing
Twice.
to Tifimo.
He's fought twice. He lost to Tifimo in December 22. Fought Arblin Kaba in July 2023 and fought Muhammad El Markucci in December of 2023. Nice. Didn't fight a single round in 2024.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure how good Sandor Martin is against southpaws because he lost to Yiki. He was a southpaw. I don't know how many southpaws outside of that he's fought, but I know Puero's fought quite a few good southpaws, and he's beat them all. Well, beat them all.
Yeah. Beat.
It's just a really hard fight to predict. I don't really know. I think of one way that the fight could go, and I'm like, oh yeah, that could favor Sandor Martin, but I'm like, no, this could favor Puello. I mean, they do fight similar, but Puello, like, he doesn't move as much as Martin, and he puts more into his punches.
Yeah, I think
like,
Puello's pretty good, truly.
I mean, Sandor Martin's pretty good. It's just people
But
just hate his style.
Doesn't fight either. So
like he's just always punching on the move. Like he never really sits down to punch. And that's a problem. I mean, judges don't like that. Like the fans who are scoring the fight, like they're probably like, yeah, oh, he's winning. Like in the Teofimo fight. And the knockdown. And the second knockdown that he should have got.
yeah.
I don't know, this one could be controversial. I won't be surprised if this is a draw. To be honest, I could see this being a draw.
Which is a rare thing to think that could happen. It's pretty rare to think of like that.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's such a maybe they're just gonna maybe they are just gonna have a standoff like Talk said. No one's gonna wanna, neither's gonna choose to come forward. It could just be like Carol Barboza. Or just one person maybe slightly does more.
Don't remind me. I watched all of that.
Puello's the home fighter.
He is, yeah.
Right. And Puello's the guy that's got more upside in the sport. Nobody really cares about a Spanish kid that got robbed against Teofimo Lopez. Like, Puello is at least somewhat marketable. Just Puello's going to win a boring decision, and it's going to be horrific to watch.
Yeah, I think I'm favoring Puello, but
I'm definitely picking Puello.
Look, man, he might even not win the fight, quote unquote, but he'll win it because he's the home fighter. Like, it's going to be that type of fight where it's so close. You can have Martin winning, but like the rounds are so bad and like it's so bad to watch. They just give it to Puello.
well, I mean, maybe it could be a good watch. I mean, they do throw. Like they do throw more than say like a Carol and a Barboza, and it could just be a pretty one for the purists. But we'll appreciate it. They won't.
I would
The
lean
fans
towards
won't.
it being not good for anybody.
Well, it could be good. It'll be good for the winner.
It could be, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. It's just like if you come towards these fighters, like, and you're pretty basic, they're gonna dominate you. if Martin comes towards Puello, he's gonna lose. Puello comes towards Martin, he's gonna lose. And if neither come towards each other, Puello's just probably gonna get the decision based on him being the A side.
That's what I'm gonna go with. Well, close decision.
Oh, I can see Puello being the person who is willing to come forward in this fight. I can't see Sandor Martin going against his style ever. But well, I'm undecided really, but I'm going to pick Puello by a close, maybe controversial decision.
Now moving on to a good fighter.
Mm.
Against a formerly good fighter. Alberto Puello against Sandor Martin. No, not. Oh my god. See,
No.
I was reading the box rec page, and yeah, sorry, Jonas Tejas, Jonas Tejas against J. Rock Williams. Yeah, Tejas is going to knock him out. It's just a matter of when, because J Rock's finished, and his last couple have been at middleweight, have they?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he had a fight against the journeyman at middleweight, where he actually weighed in at 161. He Dahmer's fight. Vlad Hernandez, he weighed 156.
Look, I mean, I've always liked J-Rock. He's a really good fighter, but he's just not durable at all. Nor does he have the best stamina. And, well, that's a problem against Hernandez, isn't it? Because he hits so hard.
Tejas will get upgraded when Crawford eventually gets stripped or vacates when he fights Canelo. So this is essentially for the vacant title.
I mean, it's reasonably good matchmaking. I mean, this kind of reminds me of like the Adam Azim Lipinets, like fought like a faded former champion. Of course, Tellers is much better than Adam Azim. But I mean, it's smart matchmaking. Former world champion on his resume.
Yep.
And I mean, especially if he looks good, which I think he's probably going to look good. Because, I mean, you can't really be going life and death with J-Rock in 2025. Like, he's still skilled, but he's way past his best.
And like I said, he hasn't made the weight in 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Not durable fighter. It's fighting it away. He hasn't made in 5 years. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
I hope Tellers goes to the body. If he goes to the body, it might be over early.
Yeah, I think it will be. That's when the prop markets open up on this fight. I'm gonna have a little go on like Tejas 1-4 and Tejas 1-6 because I think it'll be that early. Like, yeah, Tejas just punches too hard.
And not just that, I mean, like, he's good as well as punching.
Yeah. Like,
very hard.
He's really, really skilled. He's Cuban, of course he's skilled. But yeah. On the YouTube portion of this card, there's a good fight. Jared Hurd against Johan Gonzalez. I think Gonzalez is going to beat Jared Hurd. I think Jared Hurd's done. And I think Gonzalez hits really hard. And I think he's going to probably stop Jared Hurd late, like the Resendez fight.
I wasn't really sure how this fight's going to go. I saw it, like the prelim stream popped up on my recommended, and I'm just kind of laughing that Jarrett Hurd is on the prelims for a bit last night.
This is a Pro Box main event, really.
Mm.
It is a Pro Box main event, but it's a good fight. It's a good fight. I like the fight. But yeah, I think Jarrett Hurd's going to get stopped.
It's like, what does he have left? I mean, have we really seen much from him? I mean, I don't really think we've seen much from him. I'm kind of surprised he's still fighting, to be honest.
Fight for death with Rosario on Pro Box.
He did, yeah. Like, he's won, like, 2 of his losses. He's won 2 fights since 2019, hasn't he? Lost to Luis Arias, got stopped by Resendiz, drew with Rosario.
I
Yeah,
just
he's
can't.
beaten.
I still just I can't picture him getting like stopped, like like hurt and like dropped and not like knocked out. Like, he got stopped by Resendiz, but that's because his lip was split open.
Yeah, like, I think I had him just nicking the fight against Rosario, but still. You know, that fight was just like 2 washed guys just going life and death with each other, pretty much.
Thank you, Gary Jonas.
Mm.
But yeah, it's weird. Like, I'm more interested. Like, the Tejas fight isn't good, but I'm more interested in that and anything on this card because I think he's the most intriguing. I sort of know what everyone else is on this card. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I like the card. Like, it might not end up being good, but I like the card. Or at least, like, the matchups. Maybe the fights won't be good. Like, I don't think any of the fights will be good, but they're good matchups.
Yep. Also, one more fight. Gio Lopez is on the YouTube as well, and he's a very, very good super featherweight prospect. Just he's on the YouTube. I just seen that, but he's a very good fighter. Gio Lopez, like, I think he's very, very good as a prospect. He's only 21, but yeah, I like the card as you say, but it's just like I like the card on paper. I don't like the main event at all. But who knows? We'll watch. We'll watch it. Anyway, moving on. In Belfast on Saturday, there's an IBF final eliminator. Between Paddy Donovan and Lewis Crocker, there's nothing else in this card we're talking about. There's Craig Richards and there's Tommy McCarthy and people like that. But this fight's intriguing. It's just sums up how bad welterweight is right now. I don't really know how it's a final eliminator. Well, I do because welterweight's terrible, but like, I don't know. I just think Donovan's going to outbox Crocker. I think Crocker's done at 147.
I mean, look, Paddy Donovan could stop Lewis Crocker because he punches hard as well as being able to box. I mean, I just think he's just the better fighter. Even if Lewis Crocker isn't possibly done at 147, I wouldn't pick him.
Yeah, Crocker's had a weird career, a very weird career. Oh, but both of these sort of fell victim to the sort of fall of MCK, really. Like, both had their careers sort of derailed a little bit by that. Certainly Crocker did. And like, yeah, he's got back to this position, but like, I don't really see him going any further. Donovan's going to outbox him.
I
He
mean,
should outbox him.
it does, like, it could promise to be a good fight because, you know, there's a lot of pride at stake here. And maybe Paddy Donovan wants to, like, go to war with him.
That'd be stupid.
It would be, but you know, maybe he's not very smart. If he was, he probably wouldn't be a boxer.
If he goes to war, Paddy, he's gonna get knocked out. Because like that Argentinian kid got to him. Like, yeah, and like the only way Croc can win is if you stand with him and exchange, and like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that.
Maybe he wants to beat Crocker at his own game. I hope he doesn't, but maybe he does.
That's just stupid if he does that, man. Like, yeah, he deserves to get knocked out if he tries that. He was really talented and like Top Rank put a lot behind Paddy when like he was a kid, and like I don't know, it just sort of hasn't come through for him, really. Sort of hasn't really worked.
I mean, I think he's coming back a bit.
I mean, it's weird to say because they're literally 2 unbeaten fighters in a final eliminator for the IBF title, and the winner's going to get a vacant title shot because Jaron Ennis ain't fighting either of these. But it's just weird.
Yeah, that a guy whose best win is a former lightweight.
Yeah,
Lewis Ritson.
It's not a good division. It's not a good division, man. And they both fight Ritson. Crocker beat him, didn't he? Who did Crocker beat? Crocker got a gift against Conor Walker, didn't he? Did he beat Ritson as well? Or am I
I
making that
don't
up?
think he fought Ritson. He
No,
fought. He fought.
he didn't. Jose
McKenna,
Felix
didn't
knocked
he?
out
And
Tyron
Jose
McKenna.
Felix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you look at his career, 2021, when a certain organization fell apart, he was then inactive for like a year and a half, and then he was back on like Sam Kinnick Guinness shows, fighting 6 rounders against Journeyman again. Like he built up to sort of 10-round domestic title level, stopped Louis Green, like was having a good run, then he just totally fell off. And like, yeah, the McKenna fight was the first big one back for him. So it's been a weird career. He's been on the outside, he's got back, but you know, I just think Donovan's too classy. Good fighter, Paddy Donovan, though. But I think he's got a mental lapse and he lacks concentration sometimes, and that's what costs him. He's a good fighter, Paddy.
Yeah. Who was the Argentinian guy?
William Andres Herrera.
Yeah, that was the one before
Ritson.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was getting to him, but then, he brought it back and stopped him, which is
and he's since on the distance with Pat McCormack. So, like, read into that what you will.
Somehow.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing much else on that card. There's a couple of domestic level fights, but nothing too brilliant.
See, I want to know what weight the fight is at.
Yeah,
I've read light heavyweight, but it says super middleweight on BoxRec. I've also read super middleweight as well. That doesn't make sense. Like, if it's a light heavyweight, I would favor Craig Richards. If it's at 168, I give Craig Richards absolutely zero chance in hell.
I'll message Jamie.
Like,
you're getting a live exclusive here. I'm messaging Jamie.
Like, I'm pretty sure this is at 175. That makes no sense. Like, even like McCrory's last fight, he was like 171. Like, yeah, he's a super middleweight, but his last fight was at 171.
He looked terrible in that as well.
Yeah, he did. And Craig Richards hasn't fought at super middleweight since the fight before Frank Buglioni. I don't know why he had that fight like a couple weeks before Frank Buglioni, but
he took that Buglioni fight on late notice, didn't he?
Yes, he did, because he fought not long before.
Yeah.
And the fight before that one was his last fight at super middleweight.
Yeah.
He's only made super. I don't know. Well, he retired.
Yeah.
Anthony Yard ducked him. He got killed by Callum Johnson, then retired.
Yeah.
Callum Johnson icing the light heavyweight division, the British light heavyweight division. Fun days.
he's now fighting Arsene Lamont in Kazakhstan. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Thank you, Daniel.
massive cruiserweight now.
Yeah, it suddenly takes 2 years out without certain authority chasing him around and puts on like 30 pounds of muscle. So yeah, I think make of that what you will.
Brilliant.
There's another fight this weekend. Subriel Matias is fighting not Gabriel Valenzuela. I was going to say Jose there. I'm all over the place. In an IBF eliminator at 140. I think this is going to be a war in Puerto Rico. It's a really, really good fight for me. I think it's going to be. They're just going to punch the hell out of each other.
Yeah, and I think. Look, I think Matias is going to stop him.
So do I.
Yeah.
But but he could get stopped himself. I mean, his chin's looking shaky. Well, his punch resistance at least. Hurt in the first round last time, but at least he came back from that. I mean, this can't really be anything other than a war, can it?
Yeah.
If this fight is shit, I have no faith left in boxing.
Matias needs to get on the back foot and just box and stink it out and win a YGD.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a good enough fight. We'll bring Matias right back in the mix at 140 with a win and a stoppage win at least. I mean, he can't be going the distance in a win at least.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out for him.
And then he'll get 119, 109 by Riches and Hitchens after that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not looking good for us.
If Riches and Hitchens actually fights him.
Yeah, I would say he doesn't even want to fight him.
Well, maybe he has no choice now because he has the belt.
He might move up.
Maybe he's going to fight Teofimo. Still set on that fight.
But yeah, that should be a war. That really should be a war. I'm really looking forward to that fight. And there's not much on that undercard really. Nesta Bravo and Santiago against Fortuna, sorry. There's not much else.
Okay. Santiago versus Fortuna, that's not bad.
It's just
Fortuna
like
back up. Yeah, Fortuna back at 140 is good.
Yeah.
Or if he ever left 140, I can't remember.
Yeah. It's like there's a fight in Bournemouth, weirdly. Ryan Garner, Salvador Juarez. For the European title, 130 on TNT Sports, the Queensbury show. I think Ryan Garner's going to get beat here. I really don't rate him that highly. I think he's very, very basic. I think he's conditioning suspect, and I think he's got absolutely zero fight IQ. Actually, you can take the fight off that. Actually, he's got zero IQ in general.
Yeah, but do you rate Juarez?
I've seen him, and he's got dog, and he knows how to pace a fight. He's been 12 rounds multiple times. He should have won the European title. I watched that fight. The draw, he won that fight for me quite clearly. He's a solid fighter, and I think it just has all the makings of Juarez nicking the decision. I think Juarez is going to beat him. I don't rate Garner.
He's going to have to do more than nicking the decision to get this. He's probably going to have to
he will. I think he will. I think he'll drop Garner a couple of times, and Garner gets cut easily. And Garner's the type of guy to get points off because he leads with the head. And I just don't rate Garner that much. In
the Dylan fight, his face was a goddamn mess.
That Dylan fight, that was the exact sort of thing I'm talking about. I was like ringside, I was right up next to it. He almost had Dylan out of there in the first 4 rounds. And then when Dylan didn't drop after 4 or 5 rounds, Garner's gas tank just totally went dry. And like he just got battered for like last 4 rounds of that fight. And if that was a little bit closer, like if that was a 12-round fight, that could have easily been a draw or a Dylan stoppage because Garner was gone at the end of that fight. And like, he's fun to watch. He takes loads of shots. He is very aggressive and he comes forward. But I just think, like you can get outboxed by that and you can get outfought by that. Against bigger, stronger guys, that's just not going to work. Like if Liam Dillon could punch, he would have knocked out Ryan Garner. If Archie Sharp wasn't inactive and was actually fit and actually like a proper professional, he would have beat Ryan Garner because that fight was close as well. That was like a 6-4 fight. Like, I don't know, man. I just don't rate him at at all. I think you can outbox him. I think you can outfight him, and I don't think he's that big for 130 either. I think he's probably a featherweight. And yeah, I think he's going to get beat here.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think I've watched his opponent once, so. Okay, well, I'll just mention anyway. I put the wrong name. It's Jimenez, not Juarez, but who cares?
I thought you put the wrong name. I thought it was Jimenez. In my head, I was like, it's Jimenez. And then I looked down, it's Juarez. And I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, like,
I'll say that. Yeah.
Doing the schedule, I put the right name, and then doing this, wrong name. Brilliant.
Really? This isn't. We're all over the place this episode with names.
Look, just whenever you're listening to this, before we get to that point, just assume we said Jimenez and didn't say Juarez once.
God's sake. Yeah. On the undercard of this, Mace Rueg's fighting Liam Dillon. That should be a good fight. I think Dillon should win that.
He should win
more
that.
importantly, Joe Joyce is fighting Patrick Corto in an 8-rounder, despite headlining against Dillian White in about 6 weeks. What could possibly go wrong? I don't think it will, because Corto got stopped in a round by Huey Fury. So if Joyce doesn't stop Corto, put every single last penny you have on Dillian White.
Look, if he doesn't stop Corte, they should cancel the Dillian White fight. He's washed, and it should retire.
They should cancel it anyway. He's shot to bits. He shouldn't be fighting. That's a whole other discussion. Like,
well, yeah. Anyway, the Rueg Dillian fight is much better than that.
Yep. I think that should be a fun domestic level war. Like, it's not much.
See,
but like,
the problem is, I think it could end up being one-sided from the get-go. I mean, this is a massive step up for Rueg. I mean, he's been fighting on small hall shows against like nobodies. Can't punch to save his life. Like, he looks like fine. He looks like reasonably skilled. I mean, he can switch it, but like Liam Dillon's been in there with some top domestic guys, and like in close fights as well. I mean, he's never been like dominated. Yeah, I think Liam Dillon's gonna win a pretty clear decision because Liam Dillon can't punch himself.
he should do. He definitely should do. There's a weird fight on Saturday in Australia that I don't understand. Liam Wilson's rematching Yusuf Dib despite Bruce Lee knocking him out last year, and I don't understand why.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the poster for that, and I sort of had to check the date because I was like, oh, I swear they just fought, and it's like, yeah, they did. They're doing it again. But yeah, that's like a very, very weird one.
Yeah, I was definitely meant to put that fight in, but I forgot.
Yeah, luckily I checked box rec to get the names right, and I saw that fight. I thought that was this weekend, but yeah, Liam Wilson's he's an okay fighter at lightweight. Like, he's not brilliant, but he can be in good fights. Like, he can punch. Like, yeah, I just think Lightweight, there's enough names for him. But he's Australian, so he can just headline there forever against total bums and make loads of money because that's the Australian way. Like they just headline there constantly with crap fighters.
Yeah, look, the worst part about him rematching Div is he absolutely iced Div the first time. Like, why is it? Why that makes no sense. I mean, it made my knockout thread. That's how badly he iced him.
He knocked him out on the ropes and then landed about 3 or 4 follow-up shots.
Yeah,
like he knocked him out standing, and then yeah.
Like he didn't look that good up until that point. But I mean, once you ice someone like that, I mean, come on, we don't need a rematch unless you're the A side who got iced. Then they'll do a rematch. Not the case this time. I mean, look. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, there's quite a lot of boxing this week. It's not like crazy, but at least there's a lot there to watch.
Yeah, there's enough there for people. I just think boxing's in a very, very good period right now, but it's also very, very bad. It's weird. Everything's changing. There's TV contracts coming to an end, fighter contracts coming to an end. Sort of the gravitational pull of Saudi Arabia. The boxing media is totally turned on its head, like with the ring purchase and that. Like everything's changing. And I don't really think people realize how much it's changing, how different the sport's going to look in 18 months' time.
Look, once boxers deal with Sky Sports comes to an end and they don't renew, there's going to be no boxing on TV in the UK. Well, outside of the DAZN channel.
I think you're forgetting someone.
Who am I forgetting?
You're forgetting Wasserman putting on 3 shows a year on Channel 5 with Harlem Eubank 8 rounders as main events.
No, they don't even count. Most of the show is on YouTube anyway or on their website, and they put 2 fights on TV.
And they're always terrible. They're always terrible.
And likewise with the US, I mean, look, if Top Rank don't make a deal with ESPN, there's going to be no boxing on TV in America. That's much worse than having no boxing in the UK on TV.
It's sort of
interesting. Boxing's going in an interesting direction.
And it's concerning. A lot of this stuff, it's not gonna go very well, I don't think. And I think we're not too far away from sort of not a total implosion, but a sort of a reset of the sport a little bit, I think. Because once this Saudi money goes, and you've destroyed the markets in the US and the UK, and there'll be nothing left. You have to rebuild from the ground up, and I think that's going to be very, very difficult to do. But I don't know.
Well, it's a discussion for when we get to that point, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, there's one little bit of news I think is quite interesting. Aegon Sports have signed a deal with the Cuban boxing authorities to sign some of their fighters as pros. And they've announced today 4 signings. Erislandi Alvarez, Arlen Lopez, Julio Cesar La Cruz, and Lazaro Alvarez, 4 elite amateurs, elite top of the top tier amateurs.
Yeah, I mean that's a who's who of Cuban amateur boxing, really.
Yeah, and it's
outside
that's
of Andy
ridiculous.
Cruz.
Yeah, outside of Andy Cruz. That's ridiculous.
Are they going to be fighting in Cuba, or will they go over to Germany to fight, or can they go over to Germany to fight?
Yeah, they fight in Germany. That's the point. That's the deal. They're being built on Aegon Sports shows professionally.
Well, that's fantastic. because that's a good time for us at least to watch in Germany. They're only an hour ahead of us.
Yeah. And Aristani Alvarez is fantastic. Like, if I've said it multiple times, if he does not win a world title, there's something gone seriously wrong because he is so good. I think he'll be a better pro than Andy Cruz. Definitely, he's got a better pro style, and like he punches hard, he's strong, he's big, he's combination punching, body punching, everything you want in a good pro. He's got, and I think he's brilliant, man. He's the best fighter in the Olympics by far. And I really, really, really think he's going to be special as a pro. And I really hope Aegon can sort of develop him well and move him well. Because my God, he's a special talent, man.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be fighting like journeyman, waste of time fighters. That's not what he needs. Like even in his like first fight, I mean, he could fight like a decent fight, like an 8-rounder, and still look good.
Yeah. Like he's had quite a lot of 5-round experience with the IBA, and he's had like he's already like 3-0 as a pro anyway. And like, I'm not sure what weight he'll fight out. He'll fight at like lightweight or super light, I believe. But man, he's so good.
Well, I would say I recommend lightweight, but you know they don't fight each other, so maybe not. At least at 140 they fight each other.
Yeah, he's big enough for 140, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, he's so good. The other three, they're sort of in their 30s. Like they're very good signings, but like you have to sort of chuck him in. There's no real development with them. They just are what they are at this point. So it is what it is with them. But you know, yeah, it'll be really interesting, and they're really, really good fighters. I know you and Taj like aren't the biggest amateur nerds, but I sort of am. So I was really, really, really hyped up when I saw that today. But yeah,
well,
I sort of half knew it was coming, and then I saw it, and it's like yeah, and they're having a couple more sign as well. I think Seidel Hort is going there as well, the flyweight from Cuba.
Yeah. You know, I'll watch the Olympics and World Championships. I mean, they're fine.
Yeah,
I don't like keep up with amateur boxing.
I'm just a nerd.
Unless it's on my timeline, which I mean it is quite a bit.
I'm just a nerd, man. But yeah, that's interesting. There's not much other news. Inoue might not be fighting Picasso, but he might be, according to our mate Trevor. And Nakatani might be fighting Nishida, but Nishida might be fighting Salas Reyes, according to Trevor. So who knows? Who knows? And yeah, Bacolia Jagba is going to happen, but not as an IBF eliminator. So whatever. Of course, it's not because he got iced in 2 rounds. Bacola. So yeah, there's not much other news. Unless there's something I'm missing.
I don't remember anything. Don't recall anything.
Yeah, I guess that's it then. We got all the names wrong. Taj has died halfway through this episode. It's been a shambles of an episode, but yeah, thanks for listening. And yeah, we'll be back on Sunday to review all the fights. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully something unexpected happens, because it's going to be really boring if we just say, well, yeah, that happened and that happened and we all expected it. But yeah, hopefully something happens. But yeah, thank you for listening.
See you in episode 38.